IPM's weekly virtual forum where we have an opportunity to get together each week and hear from our project partners, regional staff members, international staff, board members, and friends alike about their work in response to COVID-19 and the current pandemic and other challenges facing our world, including climate change, the struggle for racial equity, and particularly the rights of women and girls. Today, we are thrilled to have with us one of my oldest, if not my oldest friends in El Salvador. I think I met Anna Gregg a day before I met Julieta, but pretty close. And a former staff member, our first ever international staff member at IPM and longtime regional director of the Office for Latin America and the Caribbean. A little over a decade ago, probably closer to 15 years ago actually now, Julieta left us on her journey, professionally, if not personally, and she's joined the Sister City project, Sister Parish, excuse me, project that's headquartered in the United States, but also for whom she serves as the regional coordinator for El Salvador. She's been a dear friend and mentor of virtually all of our regional staff since the time she transitioned, including Fatima Pacas, who's completing her Fulbright at the University of Albany in New York now, and our current regional director and also director of programs and partnerships internationally, Adela Zayas. I know in their brief time on the staff, Vicky Jimenez and Aneta Ramos have also benefited from their time with Julieta, as has Mahesh from his time in El Salvador, members of my own family and the wider IPM family who were pleased to have joined us for our conversation this morning. So as we move or transition for more direct project partner reports that we did through most of the North American summer into these more thematic focuses of each of the weekly forums. We're thrilled to have Julieta with us this Friday, excuse me. Next week, I'll be trying to pull together my thoughts in a presentation in relation to the recent US election. Hopefully we'll have a concession or something like a concession by then and be able to share what I think are the possible implications of the elections on IPM's work in the United States and around the world. So as most of you who know me know, there really no one in El Salvador who I trust and admire as much as Julieta. And I'd like to turn over the program to her at this time. Bienvenida.
Gracias. Thank you so much for that very long and complete background of myself. So that's saved us some time for speaking. Well, so I just want to say that I'm very happy to be here with you, sharing a little bit about the work that I do. Sorry if you hear a lot of background noises here, but I'm working from home and I live in with my extended family, and you know everybody is here obviously, and so everybody is doing their own noises. But yeah. So happy to be here, and so Joe already introduced myself, and I just want to say that for all these long time that have passed already, so I felt as part of the IPM family too. You might change your journey professionally, as Joe already said before, but so I think I believe in connections, and I believe that once that you are interconnected with this big family, you never leave, and I think that's the greatest thing that we shared all together, that we feel that we're a family. And I'm happy that I also found another place or another organization that hosts me and that I also now consider as part of my family, which is Sister Parish. So as the regional coordinator of Sister Parish, I already have 10 years working with them. It's kind of funny to see how time goes so fast. But I think that one of the nicest or biggest experience that I've had working for Sister Parish is to find a complement of what I did in the past with IPM. And I think that it fits so well in my life and in my professional experience too. But more than anything, I will say that IPM gave me all the basis for many things, and more than basis, maybe made me the person who I am. It made me grow in many ways, personally, professionally, as I said, um, in my extended family too. And so then I came up to Sister Parish with a lot of expectations, not knowing exactly what would be and how was about working with them. But I found out that a lot of similarities between Sister Parish and IPM. And the first similarity that I found is that both organizations had Lutheran starting or background. So Sister Parish was founded by a Lutheran pastor. His name is Richard Fensky, and with another lady, Vicky Smith. That both of them were pastors, different areas in the United States, and they met in a conference. They had the similarity, or they had something in common, and was the experience of being in Central America in a time where things were really, really difficult, in a time where all countries were facing the devastation of the war. So that experience brought them together and helped them to think in how they could best support the communities in Central America to overcome their difficulties. So they Richard Fancy came first time to Guatemala to see people in the communities, and he found out that more than that there were a lot of solidarity organizations or international organizations that were at the time and supporting in different ways to the different communities, the indigenous communities. So, but more than anything, people needed so many things. They had lots of everything, basically, the most simple, basic things. But there was something that for them seems to be more important than anything, and that was the accompaniment, which until the day of today, so we can see that accompanying communities, it's so important. It doesn't matter if they have materialistic things. It is just the fact on being together, the fact on being feeling that you have someone at your side that is accompanying you in your struggles. And I think that they were touched by that experience, and so then decide to come together to work. So by they were doing this work late in the 80s, in 1987 to be more specific. So they started to be advocated for the communities that they found in Central America, and they explored the world, and they they shared their experiences with other people, and in this way, so Sister Parish was founded, basically. So after this, at the same time, here in El Salvador and also in Guatemala, we were facing, as I already mentioned, the Civil War, and and so in 1977, something important happened here. Um, the people there were a lot of people from the north area of El Salvador specifically, that had to abandon their lands and their original places, and they went to live to Honduras in refugee camps. So they were living there since 1982, 81, the times of the massacre, 1980, 1981. In the times of the massacre, they went escaping on the bombs and the bullets, and they settled in Mesa Grande, Honduras. After 7 years being there, so the people's hundreds and hundreds of people that were living in those refugee camps decided that they wanted to come back to El Salvador because they wanted to rebuild their lives. In all this time, Vicky and Richard were kind of accompanying these people living in those refugees. They called people who were able to, international people who were able to come and support the people who were living in those refugee camps in different ways. So one of in October 1987, they decided to come back. It doesn't matter if El Salvador or if El Salvador government was agree or not, for them to come back. So, and again, you can see pictures. There are some pictures here in the presentation that you can see how kind of more or less was the way that they came back to El Salvador. And one of the talks that I've had with people who I work here, so they kind of like describe exactly how it looked like in the picture there. So, I mean, we take the decision, we made the decision of going back to El Salvador, and we took a truck and we came back. So the importance of the international groups, individuals, people who believed in solidarity in this way. So they were advocates for these people that massively wanted to come back to El Salvador to repopulate the areas that they abandoned in the past. And they basically, once being in the border of El Salvador, they came to talk to the government representatives to say these people want to come back. The government of El Salvador said, I mean, they cannot come back. I mean, this is a war zone. It is not possible for them. So, but people insist, and they said we will cross the border. Doesn't matter what. They came back, and so the picture shows how they found the place. I mean, it was a desolated place with a lot of bomb mines around. So people had to explore the area, and from nothing to start to um, uh, rebuild their lives entirely in all the sense. And so when my first task at Sister Parish was first learning about this experience, learning about their story. And it was not about just sitting myself in a group of people, which is something that I've done so far as to sit and hear the stories, but also like talk individually, hear the individual stories, um, and their experience, their personal experience, and the returning, the personal experience being part of the guerrillas movements, personal stories, and like escaping of the bullets and the bombs that were daily. So that's bring us to kind of like understand the mission of Sister Parish. or is our mission to firstly to um, make that the people learn about the the experience that people have that create this connection between the between people. And it was said here in our mission, it says so trying to create awareness or trying to create understanding between people from the north and the south. So which it's a great part of our work till today. So in these, maybe if Ilse can help me put in like the mission part. One thing that for me that in the beginning working for Sister Parish calls my attention was this part of creating mutual understanding um, in the part of justice, but also like the other part that really cultivate and captivate myself. It was the fact and how we do it. And it says here that one of the objectives was to link international or create international linkages between churches and Christian communities in the United States. I said always that when the mission of Sister Parish was created, we had to put something that looks less suspicious. So, and that was how we use the word Christian. And I won't say, I wouldn't say that is bad. So, but I think it's much more open than that. It's about creating conscientiousness among people who care about the world, people who are human beings and care about what's going on around, is the way I would put it also. And more especially the people in the United States, that I feel that it is important for the North American people to understand what's going on outside, that there is a war outside of the United States that people need to understand in order to change many things in their own country. So we do it through delegations, as the same thing that IPM does with the immersion trips. And in the delegations, we normally have, is generally through living experience in the communities. It's kind of like an immersion experience, but we do a couple of days learning about the history of El Salvador, and visiting sites, different sites, important sites in El Salvador. But the rest of the delegations, we do it through bringing people to the communities, and they had to live for at least 1 week with different families, with the families. We assign them a family that's where they live. And one thing that calls even more my attention was that it was not just from the north to the south, but also from the south to the north. So we do also delegations from here, from Central America, whether it be El Salvador, Guatemala, which are the two countries we work now more strongly. And we bring delegations to them and to have the same kind of experience that they have here. Um, so, and I would like to talk more about the vision and share a little bit about what's our vision. And more than that, saying that it's not just Sister Paris' vision, but it's also, when I saw these, I found that it was part of my vision too. Um, we believe the kingdom of God is already present, but not complete. And the liberating gospel calls us to work together to build this kingdom through. And I do believe in that. I always said in my time with IPM that I believe that one thing that I've learned is that the kingdom of God is here. We don't have to seek God in heaven. I mean, it's here. is in front of us, and sometimes we don't see it. Um, and of course, we have to do the rest of the work here. We have to complete the work for the construction of the kingdom. So we do it through the conscientiousness rising, um, and what we seek in that is the transformation, uh, transformation of our world, sharing each other experiences so that can be better understanding and overcome the success of injustices and oppression. I do really believe that in all the work that we do, whether it be Sister Parish, IPM, one of the things that we are trying to look for is justice. Make of this a better world through the justice, and we know that that is the base, and we know that that is the way how we will build the kingdom of God. And so we need to be aware and raise not just other people's awareness, but also our own awareness about it. In the course of the years, I've learned so many things, as I said, from the people in the communities where I work, and I realize every time that in all the talks and all the conversations and all the stories that I've heard, that you need to be aware of what you're hearing, what reality you're touching, um, what kind of experiences you're having. And I think that that's make you grow, make you rise your own consciousness, and so then you can help and invite, I will say, others to touch that experience in order to help to raise their own conscience, and and be able to work together for the work of justice. Solidarity is something that is another component that we see in our vision, and this is by putting ourselves in the reality of others, and by building an independent community of brothers and sisters within and among countries. We will promote mutual respect and dignity for all the peoples, advocates for human rights, and work for social and economic justice for all. And how important that is now in this pandemic time, I'll say. Earlier, we were talking with Ilse about the fact that now we are more connected through technology. And so, how we also can use this technology for growing solidarity, how we can grow our movements of solidarity for the people who need it the most, uh, how we can really touch the consciences of other people through the solidarity. Solidarity is an action and a daily action. It's for me, it's something that you have to learn to live with, like in a daily basis, from the most simple little thing. I mean, even sharing a smile is solidarity for me. Um, Sharing an eye contact is solidarity. And I can say it by my own experience during this pandemic time, where for a long time we had to be enclosed, or basically um, in our homes. And so how difficult was just to come close to the windows and see someone to pass by and just smile or just have eye contact, and you could feel how people was just grateful to see other people, and just grateful to be able to see the other. Oh, my neighbor is alive. Oh, my neighbor is, it's okay. It's and a smile. And then in terms of growing solidarity through technology, I think it's important because like for us as Latinos people, being together is so important. Sharing the same space is so important. um, and we I don't know, like being apart, it was really, really, really hard. Um, and especially when you are people's person, that you enjoy so much being with people. So one of the things that was more challenging for me was to be away from the people that I work with in Chalatenango, not being able to travel and see them and share my time with them. So then we found out that we can still be in solidarity through the technology and even grow our friendship and our solidarity through this. Even in these difficult times, we can grow solidarity. We can um, show who we are, and it's not just about sharing, like funds or like any materialistic thing, which is important. I'm not saying that it's not. It is important, because you want to help, you want to do something for others, that can be impactful for themselves and for their communities, but also like you never think and how your presence is important and how much you can stand in solidarity just by being present for others. Um, then reconciliation, it's another important part, because I think we will live in a peace, in peace with one another, by finding the courage to recognize our own failings and to forgive each other despite the history of violence that has caused so much pain. And that's, I can say it with all, its words, that the place where I've seen more reconciliation is the area of Chalatenango, that they suffered so much for the war, and not just for the war, but also for being basically abandoned all this year, even in the periods of the FMLN government. That's where the government that they stand for, mostly, that they have been forgotten all this time, and how the capacity of looking ways of forgive all those trespasses and find reconciliation. It's just amazing. The people who have suffered the most is the people who give biggest lessons of forgiveness and reconciliation. And they have suffered so much. One thing that impacted me a lot was to see the first, a few years ago, when the government, I think it was Tony Sakatet's presidency, said that all the soldiers were going to come back to the streets, and that they will provide security because of the gangs problems here. Um, so it was amazing for me to see how people responded to that. In the beginning, I thought this is so wrong, and people will fail and fear, because I mean of the soldiers again, seeing their presence and what that means for us after all the traumas that we had to face during the war. But then I started to work with Sister Parish and going to the communities of Chalatenango, and I found out that people were not just, and I wouldn't say like happy, but they say one day I asked if how did they feel uh, in terms of the soldiers being in a community, and they say, we have sat together, we have talked, and we have found that we need to take care of each other. This is a new era. It's a new moment that we're facing, and we need that they provide us protection. The past is in the past. We haven't forgotten, but these people working now are not the same that's caused so much damage. So it was for me like huge. It was a big uh, beating, I would say, because I never expected that answer, and answer taught me a lot. So in terms of the other part that I love a lot and I empathize a lot is the ecumenism. Ecumenism will accept each other and respect each person beliefs and practices as we unite to work together. So this part for me is so important because it's also part of what I did in IPM and what I've learned first. And I will say that my first lesson of the humanism was with IPM. Um, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I was raised as a Catholic. I'm very Catholic. I'm still Catholic. No, Joe knows that. But I think I am a strange Catholic. And I feel that's every time that I share some things with the people here. I got to be careful with the things that I say. So because I understood and learned that people is people wherever you go. I mean, we're human beings, and we might have differences, differences on our belief. We believe maybe in the same thing or not, but what is important about all this? So I think that what is important is we care about that common cause, and we're trying to work for it. um, in my experience working for Sister Harris, I went beyond because I had the experience to start working with indigenous communities in Guatemala, more especially with Mayan communities, where they have a very beautiful mixture between Christianity and Mayan religion, um, which taught me another lesson. We need to respect each other, but more than anything, we need to get in to their world and to their believers to know and to understand. And I will say that for more than say that, I mean, we as Christians, we have grown in so many ways. One thing that I admire from other believers like the Mayan uh, believers, is that uh, the profound respect that they have, not just for human beings but also for anything in the creation, for every single thing of the creation. Something that sometimes made me question myself, because or question Christianity at some point, because we as Christians, we look for respect for human rights, respect for who we are, as individuals, uh, uh, respect for people from other races and everything. But we sometimes forget to respect nature. We sometimes forget to respect other important things around the world. And so, in the vision, the Mayan vision is it's so really big, and that make you think how much you need to incorporate many other things to learn how much you can grow in terms of respect. And so for me, the ecumenism, also the vision of ecumenism, had been amplified through my work and through my experiences. And I would like to ask Elsa just to put the other pictures. So you can ask me whatever you want. Uh, so at any time, if
Julieta, are you opening this up for dialogue now, or are you going to?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah, of course. It's been long, I know.
No, that's fine. It's fine. I just wasn't sure with these other slides. John Cortina, just if you're looking at that, was a Jesuit who founded the Fundación Pro Búsqueda that IPM has been partnering with over the years. That and recently, Adela, Vicky, and Anita met with them. They can tell us more about that if you'd like to know. But he died of a cerebral hemorrhage a number of years ago. He's buried at the UCA in the chapel with the other Jesuit martyrs from the massacre that took place there in 1989, 41 years ago. No, is that right? Yeah, 41 years ago this coming week. The women's anniversary will be 50 years ago this coming December 2nd. But Cortina brought Pro Búsqueda together to unify children and families, spouses who had been separated during the Civil War, and was just a remarkable guy whose home we often visit right up on the border with Honduras when we're in San Salvador on an immersion experience, and actually have had the real pleasure on a number of more recent immersions, though we haven't had any obviously this year in person there, to meet with representatives of the community in Chalatenango that Julieta works with well, with delegations there. They're just some phenomenal murals, sort of a campesino Christ or in some Cristas outside that home, which is now a community center and a kind of mini museum. Would anyone like to raise any questions? As you know, as I've often said when we've met with Julieta with groups, I think you can feel free to ask her just about anything. There's no one, that Adela and I and the rest of the team in El Salvador sort of trust and rely upon more for her unique perspective, particularly on the role of faith during the revolution and the way the ecumenical community continues to respond to the situation in El Salvador. So I'd be happy to open it up now. There is a chat function both on Facebook and on Zoom. There's a comment, Clint McCann has already thanked Julieta, but does anyone have any questions they would like to share at this point as I check out the Facebook feed?
Joe, I was just wondering, what does that quote say?
I can't read it.
Oh, Julieta, would you know what that quote
You'd
said?
have to blow it up.
The only form of knowing the life of the poor is when you are together with them, when you are with them and you accompany them and you're open to learning from them.
Oh, thank you,
Something
Clint.
like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Read that small.
Thank you for reading that. So, and that is exactly, I think, what I feel. And one of the biggest lessons that I've had, the people in Chalatenango, more especially the people in Guarjila, which is one of the communities that Joe has visited already, make real this phrase. They live daily with this phrase, and they practice it like every day. And that has been one of my biggest lessons being with them. I mean, seeing his life and how much life he gave and left in that community is just amazing.
Yeah, Clint, if you could, well, we guess we just skipped over it, but we should, even if I'll translate that, or we can translate that and get it out to everybody. It is a beautiful quote. The next slide, on left, there's a couple of people you recognize probably beyond Julieta, Adela and myself at, I believe that was our last regional conference, last regional gathering in El Salvador, and then photos of different delegations. You can also see bottom
sorry,
left. No, go ahead.
There's the other picture. It's as part of the team that I work with in Chalatenango. 3 of them are representatives from Guarjila, who at the time are not just like the team where I work, but also with that I work with, but also like they're my friends now. They're my very good friends now. These wonderful, amazing people. I love them a lot. And the other lady next to me is Consuelo. She's from the other community, Los Ranchos, which is another community in Chalatenango. Then we had pictures from Acomujersa that I participate with also as a member of the cooperative. And I like to see the other pictures below, where there is like a group picture where the mural is. And so that is an encounter that we had. We do have, like, every year we try to do something that is called Solidarity Walk. And this is an activity that we do exactly in solidarity with the communities in the north, because every year this is the biggest fundraising that we have as Sister Parish, and people in the different churches that are connected or linked with Sister Parish, they had to raise an event, they do walks, or they do a procession, or do different activities where they collect money for supporting the Sister Parish work. And so from here, what we try to do is to, like, send them our moral support. And so we normally doing through getting together and having setting altars in a community, and walking around in the community in a procession. This year, there was 2017 was the year when we did it first time here in Zaragoza, where Acomujersa also is placed. And we did it in the context of the inauguration of this beautiful mural that was painted in memory of the 4 sisters, North American sisters that were killed in 1880. And there was, I think, a sister parish, and I don't know if there were some members of IPM delegation that were part of this celebration, right, Adela?
I think that's true. Adela, can you hear?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yes, I'm sorry, I was muted, but yes, that is correct.
Could
This was 2 or 3 years ago, if I'm not wrong. And unfortunately, I don't know if we'll be able to do anything this year because of COVID-19. But if the government and the measures allow it, we'll be more than happy to do it again.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Clint, for translating that. It's available in the chat if any of you want to copy and paste that. Julieta, can we just go back to the prior slide? Can you explain the significance of the Krista image at left for people who do not know that? And Carol mentioned that she was there in 2008, and the painting of that mural, really with Julieta and Fatima Pacas collaborating with a number of local organizations and others, the former mayor. I don't know that we can blow the image up, but it's quite powerful, and it's a reproduction of what used to be on the side of the city hall that IPM and others organized to get repainted, and it's now among a series of murals on the wall that surrounds the parish church where Jean and Dorothy were working at the time of their murder.
Well, so the image, it has a purpose to, I think that in the mind of the person who painted this originally was to say something about what was going on, not just in the church but also in the society. We normally name the people who who were massacred, and we globally say that women, men, children, but when we talk about martyrs, we talk about mostly the men or the males that were part of the martyrdom. We never, in very few times, even Catholic Church mentioned their women martyrs, and I think that's in the mind of the painter was to bring up and to show and to say, I mean, also the women have been an important part of the history, but also an important part of the martyrdom history, not just in El Salvador, but also around the world. And there are a lot of people who are here, men and women, but also many women giving their lives for the resurrection of El Salvador, and more implanting a seed, that is growing, a seed of justice that is growing in the country. And so the interesting thing of this painting, I don't know how able you were to see this, but it's not just the figure of a woman crucified, but also in the bottom of the cross comes from a corn plant. Because for us, corn is very important, and it's the base of our food. But also in the corn, we represent life. We represent corn is a plant that grows wherever, and the most unimaginable places. And so it's a very strong plant. And so what the significance of this is how strong women are, how much they have given, how much life they're giving, and how much hope they give in terms of resurrection. And they also need to be seen because they also are martyrs, but people who have gave life to everybody in this country and the world.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions?
Julieta, it's wonderful seeing you. Thank you for the presentation. We miss you. It's been a long time.
Amen.
It's been a long time. So happy to see you both. You're some of my favorite couples there. Oh, you look so beautiful, Kathy, and also you too, Joe. And so happy to see you. We're getting close to your birthday.
I know. I remember.
Yeah.
Take
So happy
care.
to.
Stay.
Carol has commented, in case you can't see that, met Julieta when there in 2008, remarkable lady. The lessons I learned from others, the lack of respect, quote unquote, Christians have to Native Americans, nature, and other groups in the US saddens me. One Lutheran Bible study group was adamant that Native Americans weren't worthy of respect. I left the group. Our friends in El Salvador and all IPM is so necessary. I like Julieta's 4 premises. Thank you so much. Some other photos here, some other slides, making our way through.
Yeah, the photos that were previously in the slides were about my work, and one is like a south to north delegation we did to Connecticut. So part of the, that this was one of the fun things that we did, and we went to New York City to walk around. And I mean, it's just amazing to see. I mean, the same way that people get amazed when they come here and see the mountains and see the nature, the sea, and so many other stuff here in El Salvador. And I think people were really, really amazed to see all those buildings, all those places, and enjoy too much, all what they were experiencing around. But the nicest thing of these experiences are that we, in every delegation, we realize that our lives are in many ways very similar. That we face, it's a way to create mutual understanding. And I mean, for many years, people, more especially people in the areas that were affected by the war, and that they had so much support from international organizations, and for a long time there was this mentality that, oh, they have money and they will help us every time. but we never realize that people have lives that are very similar to us, that we don't work with people who are rich, but people who are rich, yes, but in their hearts, because they have a great desire of giving, even from the little that they have. And we have come to know also that also in the United States there is poverty, and and that is not just what we think. It is not just a place where you go and make money. It's a place where there are people that also suffer in many different ways, and that if we maybe with our presence can collaborate to reduce the pain and the suffering wherever we go, we also are able to do it. And I think that's one of the most beautiful experiences that I've had, that people said, I mean, I want to say a prayer, I want to send a letter, I want to send a picture to show these people who we met there, and that make them feel that we are here in solidarity for them. And I will say that the communities where I work in the north, the biggest learning that they've had is learning how to get organized, because the communities here in Chalatenango, they know how to do that. And they really know how to do that and overcome any type of like challenge that might have. So, and I think that is one of the biggest values that North American people in the areas where I work and the churches that I work with have learned. And I've seen through the years different churches learning how to get organized, go to the streets, and start initiatives like promoting rights for the immigrants, writing petitions to their representatives that they're in the Senate for uh, advocating for immigrants, for example, um, and taking some ideas that they brought from here to put it in practice in their own churches or their own communities. And I'll say that it's been amazing to work. We as Sister Parish work with different type of churches. So we have Catholic, Episcopalians, Lutheran, Methodist churches, and it's been a great experience working with alongside of all of them.
Julieta, there's thank you for those powerful words. There's a comment or question on Facebook from Marie Manning. She says, happy to see you are continuing your solidarity work, ! So grateful for the life-changing immersion experience you shared with me and St. Louis parishioners in 2005. That's a former Catholic parish, since closed, in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. And she makes a comment about your subsequent trip together to Niagara Falls, which I don't know anything about. Sounds like it was fun. You talk more about how can you talk more about how your communities and ministries are currently affected by gangs, Lamaras, in addition to the presence of soldiers? Is anything else helping? I'm not sure if is that just sort of the presence of gangs and soldiers in the communities where you're working, and what is helping beyond kind of the vision you shared, I guess, earlier from Chalate.
So, well, maybe to respond shorter is that the whole area of Chalatenango, the northwest area of Chalatenango, which is where I work, it's basically the bubble of El Salvador, I will say. If I didn't have any of these power connections and like ties here in my original town, I will go, like after this talk, to live in any of those communities. It's considered the areas that are more safe in El Salvador, No gangs problems in any of the communities where I work. Basically, no gangs problem in the area where I work. And this is, again, thanks to the level of organization that they maintain in the area. Each of the communities have a level of organization that permit them to keep their communities clean and safe. Clean in the sense of like not having gangs around. Um, and most of them are rural communities, of course. I got to say, but but I know other rural communities in the country where they have serious problem with gangs, and this is Zaragoza, for example. Zaragoza is a place that have a huge problem with gangs, and we have a lot of rural areas, and these gangs are basically, or they have their headquarters in the rural areas, basically. But this is something that it doesn't happen in Chalatenango, and again, it's because of the level of organization that they maintain. Ironically too, so these are communities that they like Guarjila is one great example of that, and they're very close to the Chalatenango city, which is the capital city of the department of Chalatenango. In fact, they belong to the municipality of Chalatenango. The municipality of Chalatenango, the government, it's been it's been right wing. The Arena Party is been governing the municipality for years and years, and they never have provided any penny, any cents to the community for anything related to development. So the community gets all their fundings from international solidarity, hermanamientos that come from different organizations. Like hermanamientos are sister in relationships they keep with other international uh, organizations or groups from Germany, Belgium, US, and other local initiatives that they have. And so the level of organization that they have is through a community board that they keep. Uh, they and their structure functions basically like a mini government in the community. They do democratic elections for this local community board, and and they organize in different areas. Security is one area, and what they work very strongly is in prevention of violence and education. There are two things that I've seen working the most since they returned from Mesa Grande is education and safety. Um, safety is not just about forming a group, get in contact with militaries and police, working in coordination with them, but also it means to create a group of citizens that oversee and watch for the safety of everyone. And at the time, they have a very strong sense of community that makes that they want to protect themselves and protect each other. So they're depending of the other person, and if you go there and you're visiting, so they're kind of taking care of you all the time. And so there's a very strong sense of taking care of each other, and that is what have like made them be so solid in those topics. In education, for them, the most important thing is educate their children and raise awareness among them. This is the only community that I know, well, among the other and also the other communities that I know, that they ask their teacher to share not just what is written in the history books, but also to tell the history from their own perspective, and also ask the teachers to share their own testimonies, their own personal background, and the history of the community. And so that's raise awareness among the students and keep them away of the violence, basically.
Thank you, Julieta. I just want to be conscious of the time. We're a little over now. We just got a note of gratitude from Dorothy Nyango, who's on from Kenya, who had to leave, commending you for the incredible work and thanking Ilsa and everyone for being invited again. I'm sure that everyone on the call joins me and Dorothy and everyone who's shared already, Carol, Marie, etc., and just marveling at the incredible work that you do. We just had a board meeting, a virtual board meeting in India last week, and many of us were reminded of our first ever international board meeting that we held in El Salvador so many years ago, and what a powerful, transformative step that was in the development of IPM, and how grateful we were then and continue to be for all your hard work and your deep personal and professional commitment to solidarity and accompanying our sisters and brothers in El Salvador and frankly throughout the world. I want to wish everyone a happy Diwali. For those of you in India or Nepal, we're already there, so stay away from those firecrackers and make sure that everybody can breathe well tonight. Having been in India multiple times during this festival, I can imagine it's a particular challenge this year with COVID and distancing and always an issue related to air quality. We will be joining together again next Friday at the same time. Our virtual forum will be a more open-ended conversation about the potential impact of the US election upon IPM and our international work. And I'll be hoping to speak a little bit more about the direct connections between the outgoing US administration and some of the more repressive or autocratic governments in some of the other countries where we work, be they on the left or the right. And so I hope that you'll be able to join us for that. We're also looking forward to reestablishing our Spanish language forums in the new year, and we'll be sharing the dates for those with you in the coming weeks. I know this is a busy time for everyone, not only in India, but in Latin America with the holiday season ahead of us with Advent and Christmas, Hanukkah, and the New Year. And we want to wish all of you much peace and joy and safety in your celebrations together. And thank you again, Julieta. Thank you to your greetings to your family and everyone there with you in Zaragoza. Please let them know that we're seeing them personally, and share our greetings, our abrazos and abrazos with them when you get the chance. So thank you again, Julieta and Adela and everyone, Ilsa, who helped coordinate today's forum, and may the peace that passes all understanding be with you this weekend and throughout the coming week. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye, and stop. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much, Julieta.
You're very
Hugs to
welcome.
Muchas gracias. Cuídese, Julieta.
Gracias, Julieta. Un abrazo.
Ay, gracias, gracias.
Okay, adiós.
Adiós.
Chao.